It's now 4:30, and this is WKYT This Morning. A decision made will determine the fate of Bath County Schools' spring sports. Find out what that decision was coming up this morning.
A Lexington boy who was shot last year is closer to getting a new friend. The boy's mom tells us more about their efforts to raise money for a service dog.
And they lost their disability benefits after a federal investigation this morning. Hear how former clients of a Kentucky attorney are reacting to his arrest.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Well, good morning. Welcome in. It is your Thursday, April 7th, and we're glad you're with us. It's a spring day. You wouldn't know it out there. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Michelle Chamberlain. Yeah, you're going to need your coat and possibly your umbrella. It was a bit wet outside when I stepped outside this morning.
It looks like it continues right into the weekend, the first opening weekend of Keeneland. But, you know, we'll deal with it. And let's go to meteorologist Micah Harris. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, we're going to be looking out and about and seeing some pretty nasty conditions in terms of the rain still falling in northern Kentucky, bits and pieces down south too, but also that cooler air filtering on in. Right now we're in the 40s, and we'll finish off right around 50 degrees. So we'll drop it another 2 to 3 degrees before the sun does rise. And once that sun rises, you won't see much of it today. But gusty showers back in the forecast. So very spotty. Not everybody will see those. But we're going to talk about when we can get this stuff on out of here and actually see sunshine back in the forecast. I'll have that coming up.
All right, we'll see you shortly. They have almost reached their goal. Friends and family of a boy badly injured in a shooting last year in Lexington have been raising money to buy him a service dog.
And as we first told you last month, Antonio Reese's family says the dog will help in his recovery. And they hope a fundraiser later this month will collect the rest of the money they need to pay for the dog. WKYT's Monique Blair has the update.
He was shot in the back of his head a little more than a year ago, and now 10-year-old Antonio Reese suffers from memory loss and seizures. But now his mom, Tara Murillo, says her family is focused on moving forward.
We're going to be doing a yard sale and a bake sale to help raise the money. We need a fenced backyard for the dog. That's a requirement for the dog, is to have a fenced backyard.
Antonio will have his 5th brain surgery later this month, and although it will take at least a year before a dog can be trained to meet Antonio's specific needs, Murillo says a service dog will allow her son to be a kid again.
The dog will be able to allow him to kind of get it out of my bubble, I guess you could say, and allow him to gain back a small piece. I'd say take, but was truly robbed from him. A small piece of childhood, the small piece of being able to have his independence back.
In the past month, donations have poured in, and now Antonio is just a couple $1,000s shy of being able to get what his mom calls his sidekick.
This last year has been really rough, and you kind of get lost in the sorrow, and you don't see goodness anymore, and that's all we've seen in the last couple of months, so it's been a huge, incredible blessing. We don't know how to say thank you enough.
So what does Antonio think about getting a dog?
Dream come true.
Really? Aww. Not only a dream come true for Antonio, but also for his entire family. In Nicholasville, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Now, the yard sale and bake sale will be held the morning of Saturday, April 16th from 7 until 11 at Al's Auto Repair Shop on Main Street in Nicholasville.
Lexington police are trying to find a man who robbed a gas station at gunpoint. The robbery happened around 9:30 last night at the Shell station on West New Circle near Russell Cave Road. Police say a man walked in and pulled out a gun and demanded money from the clerk who was working at the time. After getting some money, he ran off toward Hollow Creek Drive. Police say the robber was wearing a gray UK sweatshirt, tan pants, and a black mask.
A decision made last night will allow Bath County school sports teams to finish the season on county-owned fields. The end of the season had been in limbo over a dispute about a lease agreement between the school board and the county park board. Garrett Weimer was there as dozens of people turned out at a park board meeting to get their questions answered.
Do we have a motion for on the park lease?
The meeting lasted 3 minutes.
Motion to adjourn.
But a couple dozen who showed up stayed nearly 2 more hours, asking questions and bringing up concerns to the park's board and its attorney. Bath County Schools pays $1,250 a month for its teams to play on fields at the park. Negotiations for a new lease broke down and the lease was terminated. A letter from attorney Ira Kilburn in March told the school system they'd have to stop using the fields May 12th when the lease ends. That caused an uproar, leading to concerns about what would happen to the end of the spring sports season and pushback from the county judge's office. Bath County School Superintendent Harvey Tackett was not at the meeting, but he told me over the phone that his main concern and priority in this are the student athletes, their families, and the coaches who all represent their school district. At its special meeting inside Owingsville City Hall, the Parks Board extended the school district's lease at the current price through the end of May. That allows school teams to finish the season and host already scheduled tournaments.
At the end of the day, we want the kids down there because that's what it was built for, and we want them to play. And all we're asking is just take care of your part of it.
The meeting also brought to light other concerns from both sides about what led to the situation and what to do next. In Bath County, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
The Bath County Superintendent says the school district will work with the Parks Board in the coming weeks to make sure they have a lease agreement in place for next school year. A Rowan County High School football coach, Ray Graham, has been suspended with pay. The school's principal told our news partners at the Herald Leader that the suspension is pending a Kentucky Office of Education Accountability investigation. The principal said he didn't know any details about the allegations under investigation by the state office. 2 years ago, the school asked Graham not to lead football players in prayer before games for constitutional reasons. But the principal says he doesn't think that incident is involved in the state's current investigation.
For the first time since last week, leaders of the State House and the Senate have met to discuss the state budget. Talks broke down last Thursday as the Democratic-controlled House and the Republican-led Senate couldn't agree on higher education funding. Governor Bevin and Senate Republicans want to cut money from public colleges and universities to put more money into state pensions. But House Democrats don't want to take money away from higher education. If lawmakers don't have a budget ready to vote on by next Tuesday, the governor would have to call a special session in order to pass one.
It's happened many times before, and this is something that has happened. It's not unusual. I don't want to say it's common, but it's happened before, and we've dealt with it before.
Senate President Robert Stivers did say the talks went well yesterday. House and Senate leaders will be meeting again today. House Speaker Greg Stumbo was not available for comment on the talks yesterday.
The wreckage of the tourist helicopter that crashed in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee has been moved to a storage facility.
And we'll take the ring here. Federal investigators say the move will allow for in-depth looks into what caused the crash. All 5 people on board died when the helicopter crashed and burst into flames Monday afternoon near Pigeon Forge. The pilot was 38-year-old Jason Dahl. His girlfriend says the couple moved from Oregon to Tennessee a few years ago so that he could follow his passion for flying.
He was so much a light for people. He was amazing.
Jonah Morvant, her adult son and daughter, and the daughter's boyfriend also died in the crash. Federal investigators also said the helicopter had been inspected around a month before the crash, and it had flown 40 hours since then. A coal executive will spend time in prison for a mine explosion in West Virginia that killed 29 miners.
I hope you never have to bury your kid like we did.
Out here outside the courtroom.
We buried our kid because of you. Races to see your boy. How in the hell do you raise your head?
That's the reaction that some families of those miners had after a federal judge sentenced Don Blankenship to a year in prison and to a $250,000 fine. Blankenship was the CEO of Massey Energy, which owned the Upper Big Branch mine where the explosion happened in 2010. He was convicted of willfully violating mine safety standards. The one-year prison sentence was the maximum allowed by law. Former clients of an Eastern Kentucky attorney are reacting to his arrest on federal fraud charges. Investigators say Eric C. Kahn was part of a scheme to get more than $600 million from the Social Security Administration through disability payments. That agency is now telling about 1,500 of Kahn's former clients to undergo hearings to determine if they can keep their disability checks. While Khan's arrest brought relief to some, others are worried about their future.
What's going to happen to all these people that have been fraudulently represented? I mean, he didn't think very much of his clients. You know, he's got the money to bail himself out. We don't.
Khan is still in custody pending a detention hearing that is set for today. Psychologist Alfred Adkins and Judge David Daugherty also face charges in the case. WKYT This Morning is just getting started. It's good to have you along. Our time is 4:40. Coming up, it's something that many moms struggle with, but taking care of yourself is just as important for your family as it is for you. So we'll take a look at some simple ways to do that coming up in our Mom's Everyday Minute.
We have some showers out and about early this morning. We head through your afternoon in much cooler conditions. And yes, a little more rain to go through. I'm going to have that forecast coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We have a few showers out and about as the system trucks to the east of us. We're still going to be seeing at least that opportunity of spotty light rain as we go through your day, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Here's the look across the region. Sprinkles, a couple light showers north of Lexington in the northern half, a couple of sprinkles along the Howell Rogers Parkway. That's about it. These temperatures are much cooler, but they're not extremely cold. We're 48 degrees now in Lexington, and that goes for Richmond and also London, Corbin area. Danville coming in at 46. Frankfort roughly 50 degrees in that region to the northwest. And then we go toward the afternoon. Well, listen, we're going to drop it another 2 to 3 degrees. And then once we go through the day, from now through about noontime, there is a small chance of rain, especially north of I-64. Then we hit the afternoon, and I believe it comes a little bit more widespread. Still very spotty. Remember, not everybody will see the rain today. It's going to be spotty at about 60%. That's still a pretty good chance that the likelihood of you seeing some rain is there, especially afternoon off into the evening. Then we head off into the night. And into the night, it really cools some things off. Here comes the rain kind of moving on out and just disappearing. And that, along with cloud cover, will do that to your temperatures. 29 degrees tomorrow morning, which will give us a freeze watch in effect through tomorrow morning for many locations, especially along 64 and northbound. That's the area that's in greatest concern because that's where the coolest air is located. This is tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Not much going on in terms of anything falling out of the sky, but we're in the 20s and 30s. Watch as we hit the afternoon. We're talking upper 40s to around 50 degrees. It's going to be pretty chilly tomorrow with those showers moving on in. Tomorrow just happens to be the first day of Keeneland. Opening day of Keeneland, and here's what we're going to be going through. Widespread rain. That's 4 p.m., right? Get off toward 5, 6 p.m. Still some lingering showers in the forecast. And then it starts to move on out. So you'll have gusty winds. You'll have temperatures in the 40s and also some rain in the forecast. And then we go through the night. Look at that showing up. A little snow showing up, especially for east and southeastern Kentucky. I don't see a major issue out of this, but nonetheless, we are going to be watching that very closely. Now we go through your day on Sunday. Sunday actually looks much better for getting out to Keeneland. So just keep in mind, as you're heading out and about, we're going to be seeing temperatures there in the 50s on Sunday. So all in all, it's really not a bad day, not a bad weather there on Sunday. That's when you want to get out and do some things.
Yeah, tonight is Thursday Night Live, the first night of Thursday Night Live.
Absolutely. So you got a lot going on with ugly weather.
With ugly weather.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Thanks, Micah. It's easy to forget about taking care of yourself when you're busy worrying about everyone else. Now, here are some tips on ways to make some time for yourself and recharge in Mom's Everyday Minute.
Hello, I'm Katie Kunkel. As moms, we're often the CEO of the family, making key decisions, keeping track of everyone's schedules, and nurturing our loved ones. But moms, this can all go to the wayside when we neglect ourselves. Here are some ways to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our family from the American Council on Exercise. First, eat healthy food and drink lots of water, and make time for regular exercise. Find a little time each day just for you. Maybe that's reading before bed or watching your favorite TV show after the kids are asleep. Schedule regular date nights with your partner so your relationship stays strong. Take a relaxing bath or treat yourself to a massage. Regularly call your friends and make time to meet with them. Finally, try to have some fun every day and don't forget to laugh. For more ways to make mom's life easier, visit momseveryday.com.
Laughing's always good, right? For these tips and more, just go to WKYT.com and click on Moms Every Day.
All having to laugh a little bit this morning.
Yes. We've had an unusual morning.
A few things going on here
We'll
this morning with the spring issues, right? The coughs and the...
It's in the air.
People having to step out for a second. 4:47 on WKYT this morning, and it's good to have you with us. We have a lot more coming right up.
Questions have been raised about the Knox County School Board Chairman's high school diploma. His response to the controversy coming up.
Hey, welcome back into WKYT this morning. It's good to have you with us. 4:50 now. It's 10 till 5. Presidential frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are now focused on New York, a day after both of them lost in the Wisconsin primary.
New York native Donald Trump is trying to win over voters by reminding them of Ted Cruz's former comments about New York values. Weijia Jiang has the latest from the campaigns.
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate! Protesters greeted Donald Trump on Long Island. But inside the venue, the native New Yorker got a rock star's welcome.
We love New York.
A new poll shows 52% of likely Republican voters in New York support Trump. He refreshed the hometown crowd's memory of one of Ted Cruz's personal attacks.
Do you remember during the debate when he started lecturing me on New York values like we're no good?
Cruz hit the ground running in the Bronx, where he tried to clarify those comments.
The people of New York know exactly what those values are. They're the values of liberal Democratic politicians like Andrew Cuomo, like Anthony Weiner.
On the Democratic side, a new national poll shows Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are in a virtual tie. Clinton told a crowd in Philadelphia many of Sanders' campaign promises are unrealistic.
Well, in a number of important areas, he doesn't have a plan at all.
Clinton is on the attack after Sanders won 6 straight states.
We are asking the hard questions, and we're coming up with the real solutions.
Sanders has outraised Clinton, but she has a commanding lead in the delegate count. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, the White House.
Administrators at a charter school in New York City canceled Ted Cruz's visit there yesterday after students threatened to stage a walkout.
Back in Kentucky, the Knox County School Board chairman has responded to a controversy surrounding him. Some in the community were upset after the school board decided not to renew Superintendent Kelly Sprinkle's contract. Then questions were raised about board chairman Dexter Smith's high school diploma. Smith says he was not able to finish high school, so later in life he took online classes and received a diploma from Nation High School. But the Kentucky Non-Public School Commission says a diploma from Nation is not accredited. So now Smith is planning to take GED classes because he says he never meant to misrepresent himself. He also says he cares about his community.
I took and decided, I'm going to do something. I'll put something back in their community. So that's when I signed up for the board of education.
State police say Smith is part of a perjury investigation. They say their findings will be presented to a grand jury later this month.
God's Pantry Food Bank plans to expand its service to senior citizens. God's Pantry plans to expand its service to senior citizens in Lexington. It's part of an arrangement through the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. To qualify, you'll need to be at least 60 years old and have a monthly income less than 130% of the poverty level. People who qualify will receive juice, cereal, milk, canned meat, and vegetables, among other items. For information on how you can apply, just go to our website, WKYT.com.
And it's 4:54 now on WKYT. And coming up, we'll have a look at some of the stories our news team is working on for you this morning.
We'll also have another look at your morning forecast.
Welcome back in. It's 4:57, about 3 minutes before 5 o'clock. And, it's spring, but you have to remind yourself over the next day or two.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need your coat today, right, Micah?
Yeah, and the cold air is filtering on in not only for today, but that goes in for tomorrow, too. And then Saturday is actually your coldest day in the forecast. So we still have some showers out and about early this morning. And we're going to have that from today all the way through possibly Saturday morning. It's 48 degrees right now in Lexington, and as we track off into your afternoon, this drops about 2 to 3 more degrees, and then it jumps back up to around 50. So the way it feels outside right now is basically the way it's going to be feeling later on today. I'll show you when we have the chance of some snowflakes coming up with another 2 hours. WKYT News.